Welcome everybody to game number 2, the G1 League group stages. TongFu facing off against DK, and all Chinese affair here today. We first got to witness what was a really exciting matchup, IG against ldD. Not going to spoil it, but if you haven't already watched it, the VODs are available, youtube.com/ldDOTA for game number 1, and then youtube.com/godzstudios for game number 2. We're really trying to get the VODs out right after the game's complete, and usually thanks to some changes Twitch has just made, it only takes at most 30 minutes to an hour or so. Can't always promise we'll be that fast, but if it is possible, we'll get them out as quickly as we can. So I am LD, and joining me, of course, is Godz. Godz, we're David and David, and, well, what are we going to see for this game? Are we going to see a Burning Quap? Are we going to see a Burning Sven? Are we going to see Burning do what he normally likes to do best? Or are we going to see something a little bit different? And it felt weird that last game. Even though they did take it, they are leading 1-0. It didn't feel like the DK we've become accustomed to.
It felt uncomfortable as a commentator, as a viewer. I'm like, I feel bad for Burning because he's not burning it up. He needs to be on his anti-mage. I mean, okay, DK don't need him to be on their anti-mage, but that's just what we're accustomed to seeing. The other day when they lost against Orange, he was on the Tiny, which is the first time I've seen him playing Tiny. That's the first time I've seen him playing Sven, which maybe isn't the biggest surprise that he's playing. It was more the way DK played that, having super sort of on that one position, Queen of Pain mid. Burning with the Queen of Pain mid the other day against Orange, it worked out. Maybe we'll see him more playing a similar role to that. But I think this is where DK maybe go back to a more standard anti-mage type draft. Maybe a Lone Druid. I'm surprised Lone Druid hasn't seen much play between these Chinese teams. Today being an all-Chinese affair, we've seen, I believe, one Lone Druid so far today.
It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit what IG want to do because they just want to kill. Yeah. I mean, they're getting the Night Star, but yeah, I'm a little surprised we didn't see it from LGD. He's a very difficult hero to gank after the laning stage. One thing that also interests me is again with the Wisp as the first or second ban for TongFu.
Yeah,
I can only imagine DK's been running this a lot in scrimmages or in practice games to the point where we saw the other day they first pick a Tiny Wisp combo as their 1-2 pick. So that must be it, because we haven't actually seen them use Wisp yet, at least not effectively so far in the G1 League.
And maybe using it with other characters, like doing some Wisp CK as well. You don't have to be hyper-aggressive with Wisp. He does sort of fit in as a strong support regardless. So maybe, yeah, like you say, something that DK have been using a lot in scrims. DK have been playing a lot, constantly see them online in scrims, in pubs. So they've been really trying to start focus on Dota 2, even though there are still Dota, well, no announced Dota 1 tournaments at the moment, but although I do believe the G League, not the G1 League, is going to remain Dota 1 for the next season. But for now, the focus is Dota 2. This G1 League is $52,000 prize pool, the biggest after the International, I believe. I don't think this is the second biggest Dota tournament of all time, I want to say. I don't know anything, unless you're including the two Internationals as two separate tournaments. I don't think there's been something with a bigger prize pool. If there is, let me know. You can tweet at me. Say, Godz, you're a moron. This tournament had a bigger prize pool than $52,000.
I think both of us got a few of those tweets. We won't go into that too much, but
yeah.
People are the one thing I'll say about the Dota community. People are not afraid to call you a moron. Sometimes they're right, and then sometimes they're just being very passionate.
And throw in some hashtag YOLOs as well. That's always included. You're
not a Dota player unless you hashtag YOLO.
Yeah. So make sure you hashtag YOLO as well as call me a moron and tell me which tournament had a bigger prize. Well, I think this is it though, and I think that was something that the G1 League was saying when they announced the tournament. Like, this is a tournament on par with the Ace Dota tournament with the G League. Despite those two tournaments being played entirely on LAN, I think this is kind of interesting with the online group stages and the offline finals. It really puts an emphasis on all the teams, the top 4 teams grouping together for that LAN finals. If it's offline the whole way, well, for one thing, the international teams from Southeast Asia, from Australia, from America in EG can't actually play. But for another thing, it just sort of really amps up that final event. Whereas with the Ace and the G League, it's more everything's on LAN. It's the expectation. They really put on a proper show every single group stage match. But we'll see what the two teams come up with. I guess we should talk draft, LD.
Yeah, I guess we got to talk about this game. So for DK, started with the first pick, Rubik. TongFu then responding with the quick Darkseer, Queen of Pain. Going for the mobility, going for sort of this more mid-game lineup, not going to be strong in the lanes as individual heroes, but not really much in the way of killing power, not much lockdown. DK, the response to Tidehunter Leshrac, not necessarily getting Burning's hero. I guess he could play the Leshrac, but most likely his hero's just not been picked yet. It won't be the Queen of Pain this game. It could be that Sven. It's almost like he's just refusing to play his traditional heroes, and I don't mind that. I think it's a good time. This is a good opportunity for DK to be experimenting. And, of course you have a lot of practice games to do that in as well, but this is a bit, you can drop a game here or there if you're DK and still be pretty confident. You're definitely going to move on into the next stage. I don't see any way that they don't make it out of this group with only one team being eliminated. So I'm really hoping for something even different from what we saw from Bernie. As much as we all like to see him play the Lone Druid, play the Anti-Mage, something a little bit more aggressive or different wouldn't bother me. Queen of Pain was great the other day.
Lone Druid's still in the pool. I think that would be kind of what DK would quite likely looking at. Maybe even the Dragon Knight for Burning, another hero they used a bit in the past as well. But
yeah,
with the Tide, Leshrac, Rubik, a lot of team fight and some pushing power with the Edict there. And when you're up against an Anti-Mage, you want to be able to take down towers fast. So I feel Lone Druid fits well here. And I don't know. For TongFu, this is probably going to be a Lone Druid ban here. I'd be surprised if they don't ban it out.
Well, another hero that can give all these fits in the laning stage is the Undying. Even against an Anti-Mage, if you run an aggressive lane and you have Undying, 1 decay, he loses 4 strength. That's a decent chunk of his HP. 2 or 3 decays, he's not even approaching the creep wave. And they have the heroes to run an aggressive tri lane. They have Leshrac who can push the tower down quickly. They have good supports either in the Tide or the Rubik to set up that Leshrac stun. So I think that's a very smart ban by the Undying, or on the Undying. But like you said, Lone Druid's still in the pool, and he fits in well with Deathball lineups. He fits in well with timing pushes. And those are two things that DK could do with the Rubik, the Tide, Leshrac, around that 10 to 15 minute mark before even something big like a Radiance is up. You can start mowing down towers, and heroes like Darkseer and Anti-Mage are not going to be effective at that point in the game.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where they want to go. And TongFu's more scared of these aggressive laning heroes than the hard carries at the moment. How Anti-Mage is something that they do tend to fall back on, I think, when they're versing these big teams. I think TongFu aren't as reliant on their coordination. They can't really go full aggressive like we saw IG do, so they're going to try to play a more farm-oriented game. They just need their supports here. I mean, this is their side lane hero, their mid hero, their farming hero, unless we're seeing a Darkseer jungle, which we have seen a bit of here and there. Slardar ban, though, that's a hero I feel I've seen Burning play it maybe once before, and it's just a bit of an interesting ban, something that could have fit into this DK lineup, though, for sure.
It could have fit, but it's not. It's a hero that really can't farm. At least Fennis Cleave. Slardar, you can't spam Slither and Crush. He doesn't have any ability to accelerate his farm. If we see something different, I'm just going to throw this out there. What about either a Juggernaut or a Shadow Fiend? You mentioned the Dragon Knight or the Lone Druid. Those are more the obvious picks. What do you think about something different like a Shadow Fiend or a Juggernaut? Do you think that fits into DK's lineup? Do you think any chance we'll see them picked?
Safe lane Shadow Fiend could absolutely fit in here. It's received some buffs on the aura. I think you get an extra minus armor each. You called it, man.
I got the hotline. I got the hotline to
Burning Shadow Fiend. I want to say safe lane Shadow Fiend. Rubik probably going to be in the mid lane for super. I could be wrong with that, but I think they want to put Shadow Fiend in the safe lane. You get just getting that safe farm, and he can be a hero in the mid game who can just beat the Anti-Mage until Anti-Mage gets ridiculously farmed. But this pick really works. You called it.
Yeah, he's also got the minus armor, and it's a strong way to deal with Anti-Mage. Just the physical power of this hero in the early to mid game. If you go for the burning build on the Anti-Mage, you'll have a little bit of resistance to that physical DPS, but they have tons of nukes as well. So I like this pick. It sort of fills the same niche as the Lone Druid, where you get your items up, you farm a bit faster than the Anti-Mage in the early to mid game, and before TongFu is really at a point where they can turtle effectively. Well, I say that they get Keeper of the Light, so there's your turtling option. I'll get the Darkseer, but it kind of fits into a mid-game timing push style of lineup. So, and he can go late. I mean, Shadow Fiend has a better start than Anti-Mage. You can't keep up or out-farm him, at least until that 30-40 minute mark.
Yeah, and with this, I think TongFu want to have some stronger mid-game, something to stall. They've got, I mean, Queen of Pain alone isn't going to stop these pushes, so they pick up Keeper of the Light to help with some spam. I guess give them some strong lane. I'm not convinced with the Keeper of the Light Anti-Mage being together, and DK the last pick. DK themselves, the team, want to go, looks like they want to go for a really strong mid-game. They can got a lot of pushing power with this. The DK can help siege up the towers. You've got the right-click damage from Shadow Fiend as well, and how do you defend your towers when you've got Shadow Fiend and DK hitting them from afar, and that's with the support of a Tide Ravage, the AoE stun from Rubik Telekinesis, the Leshrac stun, you've got an Edict in there as well to help tear down towers. I don't feel TongFu are going to have a very fun time defending this game.
Well, they have Keeper of the Light, and we have seen that this hero alone can just halt pushes and their grind pushes to a halt in their tracks, until the pipe and the mech, or at least one of those items comes out. But they have a carry in the Dragon Knight, and sort of the old way to play him for the Chinese teams was just tank, just get the pipe, get a Vanguard sometimes even, and just be the frontline presence, and then you go into the BKB. Eventually they saw Cuirass, but not the DPS builds, no Maelstroms, no early Assault Cuirass, and no early BKB. So if they want to get the fast pipe on Dragon Knight, that's an option. Alright, here's the other question though for DK. How are they going to lane this lineup? They have what could be a tri-lane with, a solo mid Dragon Knight, an offensive tri-lane, a safe lane Shadow Fiend. And this is it's awkward in that sense. They don't have the greatest dual lanes if that's what they want to do. I'm wondering, what do you expect out of these lanes?
I can get some information because they picked their heroes now. It's going to be ROTK on the Rubik. So
Godz.
This is...
I got the overlays. Godz. We're good.
That's good news.
We're good.
I wasn't even going to remind you, so I'm glad. I'd completely forgotten. We're, 1 for 2 for day with overlays? That's some good statistics.
Hell freaking yeah. I think I'm 2 for 4 or something like that. Or no, 1 for... I think I'm either 1 for 4 or 2 for 4, but it's a decent ratio. We're climbing up.
We'll go with that. But
go ahead.
Rubik solo. So, at least it should be. ROTK is playing the Rubik, so maybe we see safe lane Rubik. Maybe it's a mid Rubik.
Is it?
Maybe DK go for the Shadow Fiend solo, safe lane solo against the Darkseer, expecting the Darkseer to be in the off lane, because it is QQQ 357 playing the Tidehunter. They're going to have Leshrac in the hands of MMY and X. They've got the DK for burning, so it's super playing the Shadow Fiend. He played a fantastic Queen of Pain last game, so they're giving him that important carry hero Shadow Fiend. I think DK is a slightly more burning-ish hero in some ways. He's a hero he's played probably a bit more, and it'll be interesting to see how they lane this. I guess they may go offensive tri-lane with Shadow Fiend safe lane, but RPK normally in the side lane.
Yeah, the other option is a suicide lane Rubik. That's something we could see as well. Super solo mid, and then a DK tri-lane. And that would be a very powerful defensive tri-lane. Rubik, we've seen him in the off lane before. It can work. And against these heroes that TongFu have, TongFu don't really have a kill lane. They have a Sand Cane, that's their one main lockdown spell. But aside from that, it could work with the suicide lane Rubik. This is something that could be, I would say, not generally a reliable off-lane hero, but in this particular game, it might fit. Yeah,
it may fit. I feel the Chinese teams never or very rarely run the Rubik in an offlane. It's something more the European teams have done. E.g., Demon has done it a couple of times really well, but it's a hero who can be zoned out really easily. You haven't got the win run. You haven't got anything to help you escape there. So if you're up against a strong dual lane, you get nothing. You don't even need a tri-lane to prevent him from getting farm, and that's up against an anti-mage. He'll be free farming with... Keeper of the Light alone can pretty much zone the Rubik out of the lane, so I feel it's unlikely we see off-lane Rubik. I'd be very surprised. It's not something very DK-esque.
Offensive tri-lane with a Dragon Knight and a Tidehunter, it's not a horrible tri-lane, but it's not particularly strong either. So it feels... That's the only thing about the DK lineup, is the laning feels maybe a little bit sketchy or not standard, and DK is generally a pretty standard team. But aside from that, you talked about it, and there's going to come that point in around the 20 to 30 minute mark where DK, they just start pushing when they have Ravage, when they maybe have the BKB on the Shadow Fiend, something like a mech or a pipe up on the Dragon Knight, or even a BKB on him, and just they start going to work on towers and they start mowing them down before, when Darkseer's level 9, when he doesn't really have his wall leveled up, when Sand King probably going to be playing that support role, doesn't have many items.
Yep.
That's how DK envision this game going. Can they find the lanes to make it work? We'll find out.
I feel the Sand King Keeper of the Light supports, it's not going to be a very strong tri-lane if we're going to see DK go offensive tri-lane. DK are really hoping that it's a suicide Rubik, or at least some kind of a suicide, maybe a suicide Tide. It looks like... Yeah, sorry, TongFu. Yeah, TongFu are hoping for a suicide Tide or a suicide Rubik, something where anti-mage free farms away, and then Sand King gets some farm in the jungle using pulls, using whatever he can. Keeper of the Light can maybe help zone some of these heroes away, and it looks like they're going to get that at the moment. Who is actually going to be in the top lane? ROTK building for a... ROTK's got very eco here.
Are they going to do the pulls mid and then the pulls bottom and just leave that lane empty? We saw this from IG and LGD. They left the suicide lane empty.
Okay, so tri-lane against the Darkseer. They can zone him out. They can have one hero zoning him out, one hero using the pulls here. And then they have one hero pulling this mid camp. They've chopped down all those trees to do that with.
Yeah.
Did they use Tangos for that as well? Or did they buy a Quelling Blade?
Burning? Maybe they did. I don't see...
Or, could have bought Quelling Blade then sold it, but not the most cost-effective way to play.
I don't see anyone who's missing gold like that. Who's missing Tangos?
You'd be missing gold with Tangos as well, so I don't know. Maybe this was Burning who rebought. I didn't keep it close.
You know what it is? It must have been Split Earth from Die. He's missing
of course. Yeah. That makes
smart
sense.
Play. I like this, and at the same time, if it's there, they're going to use it. But I would like, frankly, I don't feel this should be in the game. I mean, I just think it's bottom lane though. Here comes the backstab immediately onto Veronica, onto Chan. Can they get him with the Split Earth? Will it be enough? Bernie strutting in, but just not quite able to get in range. But trying to deny him from getting that level 1. It's sort of the aggression we saw from IG, ganking in the middle lane off the bat, multiple games in a row, but unfortunately fails. So that means most likely Chan is going to get a surge, and that's going to make this first split a lot harder to come by.
Yeah, once he gets the surge, it's not going to be easy for him. He should be. It's already pushed down near his tower, so he just needs to stay as close as possible in that XP range. He's going to get that pretty safely. And there we go, rotk. He's got these pulls happening, and this helps him get farm and XP, which he wouldn't get the top lane, and also denies farm and XP from Moo in the mid lane. It does put a bit more pressure on Super, but look at this. They pulled Super all this regen. He's been pulled Tangos, pulled a Salve as well. He's taking a lot of damage under his tower, but that's what he's kind of got this Salve and extra Tangos for, knowing he's going to have to tank creeps under the tower. And Rubik comes in to put a bit of pressure on as well. We'll see Rubik continue to use this pull throughout this early game.
Right, by pulling the regen towards Super, he can afford to take that harassment. He can afford to tank the creep wave. And similar to what the anti-mage is doing up top, where they did a bunch of pulls for him, and with the poor man shield already completed, being pulled regen, he can tank too. So it's that extra piece of the puzzle, not just doing the pulls, but then also getting either the extra early regen or the stout shield, just whatever you need to help deal with those pulls. Little touches from DK and from TongFu to make their laning stage easier. Is this enough? The anti-mage is going to have absolute free farm. The Darkseer, still not level 2, but once he gets that surge up, he can start to be a bit of a nuisance in the jungle. Queen of Pain, the pull slowing her down, but still going to have to be able to control these runes. It doesn't look like there's many ways for DK to contest it, and they're getting free pulls up top. Is it okay to give this anti-mage total free farm?
It is, and it also puts the TongFu supports in this awkward position because they can use pulls, but they want to get Sanking farm and levels. Keeper of the Light's also actually somewhat level dependent. Keeper of the Light wants maybe level 3, level 4 for his spells at level 1 aren't very efficient. You also need the level 2 Chakra really to be able to use a lot of Illuminates and also to help out your team. So both those supports need farm and XP, but then they may be splitting the pools, not getting much farm or XP if they're sharing the pools, and neither hero needs to be helping the Antimage. They may as well give the Antimage complete free farm at top lane. Maybe they share his XP because Antimage isn't a very level-dependent hero, but I just feel these two supports are looking a bit lost, and Keeper of the Light's probably thinking, okay, can I go help mid? Not really. The mid Queen of Pain just wants to solo farm, solo XP, and same story at bottom lane. There's not going to be, if Keeper of the Light goes bottom, it's just going to be to give up kills. So the two supports for TongFu just, I feel, I don't know, at this point they're just a bit lost, and with good reason.
Yeah, and they're not the best ganking supports, whereas on the side of DK, they're really good at roaming. These heroes all great early to mid-game gankers. No smoke, though, so that's the one thing, is if they're going to go ganking, there is a ward towards the bottom rune. Not too much protection for the middle lane. I mean, at least not directly. You could definitely smoke around, wrap around towards the top side of the river, which is normally how you'd approach anyway, walking past the middle lane, walking up the ramp towards the north rune, and then circling around onto Moo, and they have enough stuns where if they're able to start it off with a telekinesis, they might be able to bring him down with a couple of well-placed raises. It's still not an easy hero to gank on the part of the Queen of Pain, but yeah, like you said, they're going to be a little bit lost. There's not really a plan B aside from farming.
And Queen of Pain can never get too aggressive looking for the solo kills because Rubik can always come out of that jungle. Telekinesis can just turn things around, can make sure that the raises land, and can just Shadowfin can almost bait in the Queen of Pain with the Rubik backup. So Moo knows that and won't be too aggressive at mid, I feel. And yeah, like you say, there's not much potential for ganks coming from these supports apart from the Sand King, but level 1 Burrow Strike just not the best to gank with. He needs to get at least maybe level 3. Then we can see movement from him. So maybe level 3 Sand King goes to help the mid lane and Keeper of the Light stays top with pulls, with sharing some XP, making sure that Rubik doesn't come top and get any XP here.
Finally, after quite a long delay, we will have ourselves an unpause. Super That's the one downside of the pulling mid is he's not going to be able to stack that small camp and farm it, which we saw Yamate doing a lot of in the middle lane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a free way to harvest a ton of souls, but at the same time, he is 4-0. He's getting some farm. Probably not going to be able to win this lane against Mu. Mu with the Shadow Strike just driving him back immediately, and Queen of Pain could severely out-harass Super. In fact, this might be our first blood. Surprisingly, not going to blink in. It's only a level 1 Scream. If this is, I think even with the level 1 Scream, he could have gone there, but a little bit worried about maybe this Rubik lurking in the wings.
Yeah, and Super's salving himself up. Super's still quite a bit of a way away from his bottle, so this is not a position he wants to be in. And Darkseid's come invis, looking for a gank. Rubik is there as well, so they're going to see that now, but they're going to go in for it anyways. Not worried about Rubik. Needs to get the double stun with telekinesis. Actually pulls Darkseid into the tower there, realizing that he's not actually going to find Super in too much trouble. Super's still more pressure on him. He's still a creep away from that bottle. And until then, he's going to be having a hard time at this mid lane. And I feel it's a smart move from Darkseid coming mid, though. Just put pressure on Shadowfiend. He can't do anything at bottom.
Yeah, he can't. The only other thing he could be doing is going into the jungle, but his team is already pulling that small camp. And he can't easily deal with the other camps at level 1. So it's a nice rotation. And Super, and remember, he was pulled regen, so it just shows you how difficult it is to lane against a hero like Queen of Pain. It doesn't help that he had to tank a huge wave. Mu's even diving. He thinks he might be able to get this first blood. He might actually pay with his life, though. The telekinesis is there, but I think a little bit too late. Not sure this will be enough, not in range for the raises. And in the end, Mu escapes. Meanwhile, the other 6 heroes just playing the most passive Dota that we've seen in, I want to say a while, because we started today with IG, and IG is insanely aggressive.
Yeah, just looking to get Antimage as much fun as possible. Sand can keep it alight. There's no movement possible from them. I mean, you mentioned earlier, the Tidehunter, the Leshrac, they're the ones who can gank if they want. They could even push. Edict could have been picked up by Leshrac. They could have gone for a very fast tier 1 tower, but they decided it's better to zone out the Darkseid. Darkseid is still level 1. Hasn't even got the Surge. I'm really surprised by that. The wave was pushed really far up early on, but he still didn't manage to get the level 2, and Leshrak's gone for Lightning Storm, so a bit of a surprising build there as well. I mean, DK doing a few things which just aren't quite what you'd expect, but we'll see how it pans out for them. Still very early days.
You know, Lightning Storm has its place, especially if you're laning against someone where you don't want to get too close to them, but you want to be able to push the lane, spammable, like, but it's not going to help you as much at pushing the tower, and he's in the safe lane, he's part of a tri-lane. It's the standard thing to do is you get a couple levels and then you pull the wave, you get a stack of creeps going, and you push with them. This is very odd. I wonder what the reasoning is with this build.
I think they're just looking to static farm with Burning. He's going to look to redeem himself after last game. And he may even pick up a Midas here. He's farmed 1,500 gold, hasn't bought anything. A potential Midas for Burning. Because the fact they're not getting Edict means they don't want to push. That just basically says they want Burning to static farm, to get big items in. If they're going to play for a late game farm DK, then you get the Midas. I mean, I don't feel they need to play that way. They've got a Shadow Fiend as well. They've got a really strong mid game. They could just go for the treads, drum, pipe, sort of standard DK mid game pushing items. But maybe they just want to go really big farm on both DK and Shadow Fiend and just dominate the early game farming, the mid game team fights using their spells, and then the late game with their items, and be able to fight Anti-Mage in the late game. Because Shadow Fiend DK, they can outcarry an Anti-Mage.
Yeah, well, once he hits that dragon form, and having the splash does get rid of the Manta illusions pretty quickly. And he's got backup. It's not a one position DK who's doing it all alone with only mid game heroes. Shadow Fiend, a great sort of utility support semi carry. You know, even if he's not getting the most farm, just being alive in the team fights and having presence of the Dark Lord with up to -6 AoE armor, that's really going to help. So I agree. I think Burning can take this. If not to the 80-90 minute mark, you can certainly go late, especially with this level of farm. Now, there is a free farm How on the Anti-Mage who's pretty much keeping pace with Burning. It's always dicey giving away this kind of farmed Anti-Mage, but if anyone's comfortable in the late game, it's got to be Burning.
Does Anti-Mage go Midas himself here, I wonder? I feel Midas Anti-Mage is very gimmicky. I know Havos and a few players have done it before. Never as like a regular build, but just on occasion. I feel you farm faster with the Battle Fury than Midas, because as soon as you get that, you get a Quelling Blade as well. You just blink around from neutral camp to neutral camp. You kill creep waves so fast that the Midas can actually slow down that Battle Fury, and as a result, you farm slower, or at least maybe at a similar pace. I don't think Midas actually helps Anti-Mage farm faster for the late game. So I don't think we see How go for a Midas, but it is possible.
You're right. Sure, you get that additional sort of fixed income, but it's an exponential level of growth once the Battle Fury is complete. So it's 1900 gold not going towards your Battle Fury. It's almost half of the cost of the item. Huh. Bit of a disconnect here now for TongFu. One of the first games we've really had serious internet issues. I have to say, for the most part, the internet's been stable. The teams haven't really been... If they're experiencing delay, they're not letting it on. I know in one of the previous series we had a couple of disconnects from DK, and they tend to have worse internet than most of the other Chinese teams. But even then, it wasn't that bad. It was only maybe 5-10 second pauses here or there.
That, I mean, 3 or 4, maybe 5-minute pause is the longest pause we've had all tournaments so far, and we're at day 3, so I'd say we're doing pretty good. Most online tournaments always have their share of issues, whether it's internet disconnects or just someone having to really use the toilet. But we are going to have the game resumed here. So I'm wondering now, Sanking's hit level 3. He could go gank if they want to pick up a smoke, maybe look to rotate mid gank super, but the big thing is that Rubik's still lurking around. Rubik just level 2 though. He's a bit under-leveled at this point.
He's forced to come though, immediately super taking one scream and tons of damage. That's our first blood! Moo, what a beautiful play. And bold too, because he does it. He knows the Rubik is pulling mid. He knows he's close, but just clips super in the trees. Now thrown back into the tower. He'll be okay.
He may go back in here. Bottle up, go back in. Haste rune still up if he really wants. Nope, Tide's here as well, so he can't actually get this kill. Moo with haste is just not really in too much danger though. Does chew through all his bottle charges. We may see some bottle crow coming out from him. If they've got the chance to. Another pause coming out from super. Maybe a bit of delay problems actually caused him to go down there. Looks like he is having some issues, but Queen of Pain, that's the start you want if you're TongFu. Someone known for his Queen of Pain play.
And the issue for DK is going to be, if Queen of Pain gets rolling, not only is your Shadow Fiend shut down, but then you rotate a hero like Tidehunter to the middle lane. That means Darkseer, free to be a more aggressive bottom. You can see he's finally gotten level 2, and until Tide comes back, he doesn't have to worry about this Leshrac. It's not a Leshracu's Edict, so Leshrac can't just run next to him and do tons of damage. He throws out lightning, he can harass reasonably well, but it frees up some pressure for Darkseer on that bottom lane, and then it also is going to create space in the mid game for Anti-Mage. That's really the concern here for DK is the one kill. Okay, not a big deal. Queen of Pain should beat a Shadow Fiend 1v1 mid, especially if Shadow Fiend is having some delay issues, having some disconnects. But you got to stem the bleeding. That's the main concern here for DK. Otherwise, it's going to give too much space to the Darkseer and the Anti-Mage.
I think the fact they've kept Darkseer really low level is the good sign here for DK. You're giving Anti-Mage complete free farm. It means you need to dominate those other 2 lanes. Hasn't really happened too much at mid. Giving away first blood, obviously not quite what you'd hope, especially when you've got a Shadow Fiend, a very momentum-based hero. But the fact Darkseer's level 2 is kind of the small thing that is going the way of DK. Their support's getting decent XP, getting some alright farm here. Mostly just the Leshrac, I should say. Rubik, actually, I feel hasn't had the best time. Tidehunter level 2.5 as well. So both teams, this is a very slow-paced game. You mentioned it. This is perhaps the most passive game we've seen so far in the tournament, and I guess it's only natural it's a Chinese game. Hopefully people don't just look at this game and say, oh, boring Chinese Dota. Go check out the IG series if you want to see some Chinese Dota.
I'm sad to report that we can say that every single series. We can even be watching those IG games, and there's still going to be people saying that in the chat. I've seen it all day long, so we can try and change the hearts and mind of the people out there, but some people just want to troll, other people just never going to change their opinion, so what can you do? But guys, really, all Chinese Dota is not a farm fest. It's not all sort of this passive game, and of course it doesn't help that we've had so many pauses. That makes it feel a lot more passive than it otherwise might.
Yeah, absolutely. It does make the game seem a lot more slow-paced than it already is. But we're back in action now. It looks like Super's all good. He's back in the mid lane now. Big question, where's Queen of Pain going? Just TP's back mid, went all the way back home to heal, picks up Observer Wards as well, bought by his teammate, not by himself, but he's planning them around the mid lane, making sure that he's not going to get ganked by the Sand King, by someone coming in from one of the sides here, just setting up for his team, and really, that's just smart play for TongFu, giving it to the Queen of Pain so the supports don't waste time, they can keep using these pools and be as efficient as possible with their time.
Neither carry gets greedy. Burning goes for the Soul Rain, and Anti-Mage goes for Tread, so despite having free farm, neither of them decides to get greedy.
Wow. And the treads, I would
Veronica.
be surprised by the treads pickup.
But Moo is here, and there's the ult. That's a kill. Oh.
Well,
But Veronica's trapped on this hill for quite a while.
oh,
in,
the
comes,
raise.
in comes the entire DK squad. Beautiful raises from Super. Zero chance for that Dark Seer. And now the gush onto Moo, who will blink away. Is it far enough, though? Super not going to chase. Shenanigans ensue, and this game just got a lot more interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. It does take a turn quickly, and Moo picks himself up another kill, though, as Super finds some raises, some of the easiest raises of his life, perhaps, but they do land nonetheless, and that's a kill that's going to help him out after that early first blood that he gave away. And interesting to see, it's DK who bring their supports up. TongFu, still Sand as well as Keeper the Light, have not moved until now. Keeper the Light comes bottom to try and repel the push from DK. Burning's there with treads and soaring, and he's trying to chip away at this tower. That's the only time TongFu decide to rotate, when the push comes in, and it's still Sand who's just trying to get levels at top lane. Sand almost level 5. He's actually done really well at this top lane, longdd. Will have a fairly decent time on his arcane boots as well, perhaps.
And look at what he's done. He's gone for Caustic Finale.
Yeah.
This accelerates your jungle farm a lot. It's not in the mid game. You'd really like to have your Sandstorm up, but this allows him to really pull ahead. And you know the supports are very underleveled and underfarmed for DK. The Rubik is only level 3. Has just gotten the boots. MMY die. No boots for him. Only a smoke. Desperately poor. And it's all because they're trying to protect Super. They're all drawn to this lane just to try and relieve the pressure on Shadow Fiend. It's a hero that can be very powerful as a 1v1 hero, but if you don't have perfect pain, if you make any sort of mistakes and you start to fall behind, it's really hard to catch up.
Well, the Sand King, longdd, almost just got himself to level 6 using that big stack of the big camp there, and he's with the Caustic Finale allowed him to do that. He's going to have arcane boots fairly soon. He's actually got a lot of levels compared to looking at DK, who's got a level 4 Leshrac, level 3 Tide, and the Rubik, who's just hit level 4 as well. This support Sand King has really been efficient. Keeper of the Light's level 4.5 as well. So as far as the leveling goes, TongFu are out-leveling DK with this start. And when you've got the Anti-Mage free farming at top as well as the Queen of Pain, who had the superior start at mid, this is going well for TongFu.
It is. It's going well, and DK. The big concern for me as they approach the mid game, they really need Ravage to be effective in these team fights. You know, aside from that, what do you have for reliable stuns? I guess the DK Dragon Tail when he's in range form. Otherwise, Anti-Mage and Queen of Pain can just blink away from you and go right back to farming. I'm surprised, honestly, that DK isn't doing more pulling right now on the bottom lane. Just get that Tide Hunter some levels, get him some farm up. And Rubik rotates towards top for a little bit, but just the creep wave pulled way too far. Can't get anything accomplished there. It's sort of the reverse of last game where we saw TongFu just not being very efficient with their movements in their time. DK, they haven't been horribly inefficient, but just not maximizing everything as well as they would like.
Yeah, DK I feel have... The Rubik little jungle thing was cute, but it hasn't worked out. Most noticeably because Super actually gave up that first blood in a bit of a mishap. Something that shouldn't normally happen in those 1v1 matchups, but as far as farm goes, he's outlast hitting the Queen of Pain. And one death is never enough to shut down Shadow Fiend. You have to be very proactive in ganking him. They're going to go on Moo here. They've got the chain stuns. It's Dai coming in from the bottom lane with the follow-up from the telekinesis, and 2 raises, and Super gets a kill. That's a big pickup. That's the kind of pickup DK really needed to get things rolling.
And slow down that Queen of Pain. We've seen how out of control she can get the last game in the hands of Super. And Super, despite that early first blood that he gave up, is still doing pretty well. Now he's got his treads, he's got the Wraith Band up, and although the supports are very far behind for DK, the carries are doing well. The Dragon Knight is farming, the Shadow Fiend is farming, and these are 2 powerhouse mid-game carries who can scale pretty late. They are giving away the free farm Anti-Mage, but again, his power curve starts a lot later than these heroes. So all is not lost for DK by any means. And in fact, Bernie, look at the pressure he's applying on this tower. He doesn't even mind taking the creep wave. He's going to try to get the tower, but Shang, oh, I almost think Bernie jumps in for Moo, drops the ult. How much does he commit to this dodging away, avoiding that split earth, and now does he come in all the way? He doesn't have the mana pool, even with the 14 wand charges. Maybe could have gone, not going to middle lane. Meanwhile, the epicenter from longdd trying to get this kill on Super. Super could turn around with some raises and some bottle charges. Will he look to do it? Huge dive from longdd, perhaps a little bit too far. Gets a solo kill. That would have been a massive kill, but just didn't have the backup to get it done.
No, it didn't. And, I mean, both teams really looking for kills. Moo at bottom lane, Sand King at mid. TongFu, if they'd gotten those 2 kills, they'd been in a great position. So DK avoid a bullet. They dodge it. But for now, they're still not really where they'd like to be. They still need to keep the farm going with the DK, with the Shadow Fiend. They haven't really started to go for the group up and push yet, and they're giving Anti-Mage so much space to farm. How he's going to have the Battle Fury soon. I mentioned earlier, surprised he even got these treads. It's just going to slow down that Battle Fury, but he's feeling confident he'll still have it in a good amount of time and have that ready to keep on farming.
This time, Moo, he had his finger poised over that blink hotkey. I'm guessing in first-person perspective, had the blink ability selected, was just hovering over the high ground because an instant reaction for him to back off, and not going to fall quite as easily to that same trick twice in a row. Good adjustment from him. Rotation in towards the top lane from Tidehunger. The tower taking some chip damage. Not quite in deny range yet, but the next time they have a catapult, expect to see TongFu looking to push this down. The Battle Fury is coming really soon, and he's opted for the Burning build. They want to take this ultra late game. They want to take it until, you know, that 30, 40, 50 minute mark. And when you have Darkseer, Queen of Pain, and Keeper of the Light to help you turtle, it makes sense. DK are going to be stronger in the mid game if they can finally get the Ravage up, which again is still being delayed, but TongFu are fine with taking the Slade, and despite the Battle Fury not being as quick as it would be if he rushed it, it's still going to be fairly early. He still should have it by, I mean, probably that 15-minute mark at the latest.
And I think he just wants to make sure he can't get ganked with the chain stun potential coming from some of these heroes. They could gank him. The treads give him the mobility, a bit of HP. The stats as well, that's the way to go. It's not a huge amount of magic damage. It's really a nice blend. There's some nukes coming out from DK. There's a lot of physical damage with the Shadow Fiend, the DK, and the raw HP you get from stats, some bonus armor as well, is going to give him... He's going to maximize his survivability compared to getting more points in Spell Shield. So really smart build coming out from the Anti-Mage. I mean, like you say, the Burning build, it's something that he really... brought into competitive Dota with getting all these stats, and how almost Battle Fury.
How can Hal out Burning? We're gonna find out if he's able to do it soon.
Oh, we're gonna see. We're gonna see. It's on. But DK don't seem worried. They're like, okay, we don't even need to bring heroes top. Give him this 14-minute Battle Fury treads. It could have been even a 12-minute Battle Fury is kind of what you see if you rush it. Maybe even 11-minute with a tower or something, and there's another gank. It's on Moog. Blink's been stolen by Rubik. That's going to be enough to set the kill. Really nice spell to steal when you're trying to gank a Queen of Pain. The Blink-in gives him the vision, denies Queen of Pain the vision that you can use to sort of blink out of there before getting initiated. But Blink Telekinesis, stun from Leshrac, easy kill for DK.
And, you know, I said they lack that sort of reliable initiation, but this is the reliable initiation. It's coming out from RTK. Like you said, stole the Blink and really making it work. Rotation in from longdd, but without a Blink Dagger, without that way to jump into the middle of the fight, not really able to find an opening. And now QQQ, still not level 6. It's 14 minutes in. You know, I've been harping on it. Even the Leshrac is level 7. Just give him a lane at this point, honestly, because with Ravage, they could really force some fights.
Yeah, and it's getting up very, very soon. So 357, he's still just... He's going to be left alone at mid lane. I like this. Give him the solo speed. Oh, super. The two big carries. Queen of Pain just going to take it. I think they want to get the kill as fast as possible, not wait it out, especially once Anti-Mage use that. Anti-Mage... Ooh, does he get the tower? It looks like the Siege Creep actually got the tower.
Oh, look at this! Look at this! ROTK has stolen Epicenter. Now, I don't know if he'll be able to get it off in these fights without a Blink, without a Force Staff, but they do have a Ravage to set it up, so it's not out of the question, guys.
I'm not convinced. I don't think this is
the Blink is better. I think the Blink is better, but still, this could be cute. It could be cute.
I mean, with a Tide Ravage, it's still, like, Rubik doesn't want to be in the middle of the fight. He'll die. He won't have any escape. He doesn't want to be in the midst of things. Like, Sandkin, you've got the stun in. In theory, you should have a Sandstorm. He doesn't actually have any points in that yet, but you've got the initiation. Rubik, it's like, you're walking on in. TongFu will either retreat or chain stun and kill you. If you're trying to chain it with a Tide Ravage, I don't know. I just don't feel this is going to work out too well for him, as interesting as it could be. Maybe for a solo kill. Maybe for a solo kill or a small-scale engagement.
It is the one downside to skipping Sandstorm for that that sort of jungle Sandkin style. Yeah. It's I guess it's the weakness of it. And now QQQ is 6, so they do have the big AoE setup. Bernie just not leaving this bottom lane. He's bought something significant. It's a Shadow Blade! It's a Pinoy Dragonite we're gonna see. Ay, this is awesome. I love this build, and I think it's not just a cheesy sort of Pinoy build, but it's something that's legitimate. It gives you a lot of attack speed now with this version, and just having that, it's so effective for chasing. It gives you a very reliable form of initiation. Dragonite pretty naturally tanky, so he can kind of get away with going for something like this.
I think they're going to be looking to force fights with it. I mean, the Pinoys, they love to use it to Shadow Blade in to set up that stun, and that may be what we're seeing, but he's going to be the one getting jumped on. Shadow Blade gets popped, the vacuum with an oh! They don't combo it well. That should have been a kill. It's not going to be a kill anyways. He's got the magic wand, the Shadow Strike damage not doing enough, and they even with the Shadow Blade, they still should have got that, but the vacuum didn't really vacuum onto the epicenter. longdd and Veronica kind of went two separate directions, and he gets out of there.
Busyan! Busyan! That's all I gotta say about that. Super with the tower tonight. TP's in, pops that invis word, and goes to work. And they have Ravage here. They have Ravage. Can they combo it? Can they set it up? No, the blinks, the surges, the retreat for TongFu. That was a big opportunity lost. Bernie's just gonna go right back to farming. Now, lest we forget, gods, there is a battle for 50-minute battle for your anti-mage. Not a world-beating time, but still a very respectable one. And he can really start to put some pressure on these lanes. And let's see, will the Shadow Blade Dragon Knight be enough to lock him down and pick him off? Doesn't look like it. Although it is hitting pretty hard. And he blinks up the wrong way. Now he's dead. That was not the right direction to blink. He's going to pay for this. No! The Split Earth missing. Doesn't matter. Really not the right direction to blink there, and it costs him.
Yeah, this is as soon as you get that Battle Fury, that's where you have to basically start increasing your GPM. There's only so much you can farm when you haven't got it, but once you get that, you can just completely wipe out the entire set of neutrals, go back to the lane, push out the lane. You don't static farm it once you have the Battle Fury, you push it out, then you go into the neutrals, and getting picked off just really slows down that next level of items. If you're not getting picked off with a Battle Fury, you're looking at a very fast Manta style. The heart can come up. I mean, you're looking at maybe 25 minutes having Manta and almost a heart if you do it right. But one pick off can just really slow down one item and just sort of ruin any momentum. Similar to a Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend, more early game momentum need, but Anti-Magic comes once you have the Battle Fury. He needs to be very careful. Can't afford to get picked off like that.
And the pickoffs could keep on coming. They have this good invisible initiation right now. Is TongFu going to get a gem? You know, it's something where maybe you don't need one right now, but in the next 5-10 minutes, once DK really start committing these pushes, you do need one. You don't want to get jumped on. You also start having to group up more, so that's the other benefit. It turns him into not only a hero that can scale pretty well into the late game, but also a bit of a threat like a bounty hunter, where you don't always know where the Dragon Knight is. You don't always know if he's looking to set up some kills for his team. So, like you said, it's more of a pressure item, and it's an item that can set up some kills for them. Let's see if he could do it here. Grouped up top with 3. Just scouting things out at the moment.
Yeah. Maybe the Shadow Blade could give him the initiation, the surprise factor to actually get a kill on this Anti-Mage with some chain stuns. But with just the Tidehunter there, actually they're bringing Rubik as well towards the top lane. They've got 3. I don't think this is enough. longdd hiding there in the side. And yeah, DK spot this out. They've got a well-placed observer. They may actually try to get longdd here, who is in that jungle.
Here comes Burning. That is an angry dragon. Can you imagine this thing just walking? Oh, how? That is not where you want to jump. There is what was stolen from the Anti-Mage. I believe the Blink, the Ravage coming out. And it just able to live, but blinking forward over the top is ROTK. Oh, chasing that Anti-Mage.
Telekinesis cancelled the epicenter there. He got stunned, like he was stunned, but the drop down, he'd already thrown the telekinesis, and it cancelled off longdd's epicenter. Big mishap coming out from TongFu there in the top lane. Anti-Mage and Sand both go down. It looks like leshrac gets picked off at bottom by the Darkseer and the Queen of Pain, who are trying to push down the tier 2 as well. But I'd say DK, that's a trade they're quite happy to take.
Even if the epicenter goes off, I'm not sure if it's enough. There just wasn't any follow-up, and it's only a level 1 epicenter, but still a great play to cancel it. This might be the death of QQQ. In fact, almost certainly will. Shang, is he bringing someone over to this lane? It looks like... No, just popping the Spirit Form, not recalling any heroes just yet. Might recall the Sand King, though. That's an option for them if they want to get a little more aggressive. Not only is Tidehunter dead, but Ravage is also down. Bernie rotating mid, right into longdd. A couple of heroes for TongFu in fairly hot pursuit. But without the detection, without really... That's the thing that we were talking about in the draft, is TongFu doesn't have that much lockdown. In goes Burning! What a bad time to go in as the supports are about to arrive, and wisely he'll just back off.
Yeah, this is not a fight he wants to take here, and I feel TongFu, they don't really have any ability to push down towers too much now. They just really have to be all in with this Anti-Mage getting a lot of farm. But those 2 quick deaths, mentioned it already, he's just going to slow down the next level of items, and that's what it's about for the anti-mage. It's the 12-minute battle free, sure, great. That's, well, 15-minute battle free here with the treads. That's what you're going to get regardless as an anti-mage if you're in that safe lane against nothing. But what happens after that is really where it starts to matter for anti-mage, and he's going to have to really catch up now while the rest of his team try find maybe some pickoffs. They don't want to go for big-scale team fights into a Tide Ravage. Super as well with a BKB now is going to do a lot of damage, so they have to try and find just small little pickoffs.
And it's an under-leveled Sandcane. He was getting great levels early, but he's only managed to hit level 8. He still doesn't have a pointed Sandstorm. So anything that Rubik steals from him is potentially devastating. Either the Epicenter or the Burrow Strike. Rubik hitting level 10, heavy to Mechanism. The tables have turned. It's sort of flipped around. The supports for DK were the ones behind early, but now it's TongFu just not being as efficient, not being as effective with their time, and those supports for them, they're the ones who are slipping, and they really need the Sandcane to get some items up. You say put all the eggs in the anti-mage basket, but without a Blink Dagger on him, without the level 11, where's their initiation? I guess it's the Queen of Pain jumping in with the BKB, but not ideal by any means.
I mean, if they wait long enough, we may be seeing a blink up on Sandcane. He has got a couple braces of Magic Wand, just looking to get cheap, cost-effective items, and they're looking for this mid-lane initiation. They're going to find on Super. They need the Chain Stun. BKB perfectly! Ulti! Super turn this around. What reaction? Double race onto the Sandking. He's picked up one. Is he going to pick up Moo as well? Blink out from Moo. That almost went absolutely terribly wrong. What a play from Super. He's been the MVP of this series, and he's looking for more. DK on the hunt. They want the anti-mage. Ravage even being used. There's going to be a blink in just a second. Can they get him? Blink again! ROTK the second time this game. Oh my gosh, DK just playing so damn well right now.
Oh, Rubik. This Rubik especially. ROTK has really impressed me with this Rubik play. Had a very slow start. Pulling the middle lane, wasn't getting a whole lot accomplished, but constantly blinking forward, catching these heroes out, and there's not much counter-initiation for TongFu until this happens. A 4-hero burrow strike into the Epicenter. Will it be enough, though? The mech turning it around. Now Moo joining the fight, but explodes that Shadow Fiend, the ticking time bomb, and will pay for it with his own life. Tidehunter on the retreat. Rubik blinks away to safety, and in the end, everyone except for the Shadow Fiend gets away. He leaves quite a bloody mess behind him, though, with that second Requiem of Souls.
Yeah, that was dirty, and that was TongFu with... That was the Wombo combos. It's the Vacuum, the 4-man Burrow Strike, the Queen of Pain Ultimate, and the Scream, and... I don't... Maybe there was an Illuminate missing. I'm not sure if that came flying in as well, but they just didn't have enough damage, and once SF went down, there was kind of the wrong target to kill, because that turned everything around. They got the Queen of Pain as well for it. Queen of Pain does now have enough gold for a BKB, although we may be seeing an Aghanims. It seems to be the go-to build. No, it buys a BKB, so BKB up on Moo, but DK still just coming out on top of these fights. Almost lose 3 there, but it's just 1, and they pick up an extra kill, the Queen of Pain. So the entire time Burning's farming. That's the other good news.
Look at this cheeky play from ROTK, throwing anti-mage back down onto the low ground while Sandking Burrow Strikes up onto the high ground, and now he's stuck there. He's gonna have to wait for Burrow Strike to cool down. Just even when ROTK is not finding kills this game, he's being such a nuisance to TongFu and creating so much space for this team, as well as finding kills, and he's doing it not as a solo mid, not as a hero that was really given a whole lot of farm priority this game, but as a support. And you know, it's something we've seen before. When Rubik plays against these anti-mage Queen of Pain lineups, there's so many blinks on the field that it's pretty much impossible not to steal one.
And you can have another spell, like, at the start of the fight. Maybe you still... There's Burrow Strike still as well, another fantastic spell still. But you can have some kind of DPS, some kind of disabled, but stealing Blink mid-fight to escape or initiate. Here's the initiation, though. DK burning with the Lothars in. He's going to take out Sanching right off the bat. Big Burrow Strike again, but it's not enough. And longdd, the ultimate on cooldown. He's now on the run. BKB for Bernie. They only pick off 1, though. I think TongFu, lucky to not lose more there. They do manage to get out without losing too much.
They have a haste run on their Queen of Pain, and if the TPs start to come, maybe look for the backstab opportunity. That's what Moo wants, but he needs 1 more. I don't think these 2 can do it by themselves, especially not with the wall already being dropped and the Ravage up. A little unfortunate. You know he wants... Whenever you're Queen of Pain and you're in that situation, you have a haste run, you have your BKB, you have all your spells off cooldown and full mana. You want to jump in so damn badly, but it wasn't a good opportunity, so wisely he's not going to force the issue. And Hao continues to farm. He is behind Burning at this point, according to the net worth, which Is that no? There was something on the courier, I think, or maybe just killing the ancients. Yeah, he's still behind by 1,000 gold. He died a few times, but surprising that burning. I mean, it is burning after all, but he's 30 CS ahead, and still, the death's really hurting him here.
Yeah, it's just those couple of deaths, and a lot of those last hits are the neutral creeps as well, which don't quite give him as much, which he's been stacking and farming in between farming waves. But the deaths are really costing him deeply, and burning hasn't died at all. Has picked up a kill, been in some team fights as well, and just looking to maybe continue. Well, he's not actually continuing to participate. He's going for a bit of a split push here at the bottom lane, while the rest of his team siege up the mid lane.
And with this BKB, he's getting close to level 16 as well, and that's where they start to peak. Anti-Mage nowhere near his peak. Even with the Manta style, you're still looking at either the Heart or the Butterfly before he really gets aggressive. Or maybe a BKB. That could be an option as well. Dragon Knight's almost there. He's almost at the point where he has everything he needs to really force fights. And he's also got another 2,000 gold, which means that next item can be on its way soon, whether it's the Maelstrom, the Assault Cuirass, Blink Forward. Again, ROTK just putting so much pressure on these supports. Driving the back from the lane, almost the way you see a Night Stalker who's farmed do it. Just diving past the tower, blinking forward and trying to find kills. Even when he doesn't find the kills, though, he sets up the push.
Yeah, super denying the middle tower and the rest of his team. Bottom lane, they're sieging this bottom lane and there's nothing there to defend it. Edict with the DK. This is going to be a tier 2 tower. And what are TongFu up to? They're trying to counter push. They're just trying to get some farm in their own neutrals. Hao does have enough gold for that Manta Star, but like you say, needs another big item. Probably a heart at this point, just to give him any hope of surviving a team fight.
Here comes Chan, but really you can't jump into this and not going to. Just they show up to these towers and they don't really want to force the fights, which is wise, but then they chase and they're trying to split push, but they're not even pushing with 5 and they're still knocking down towers. So they're getting a lot without investing too much in it, and it's why we see the gold graph and the experience graph really starting to tip in their favor. And they're doing this despite Anti-Mage having a 15-minute Battle Fury, and since that few set of early deaths, he hasn't been slowed down at all. And it's not just the carries. I mean, it's even Dai getting a Ghost Scepter. We've already seen how big the Rubik is with a mech, and now getting close to a 4-staff. Even the Tidehunter's not far off a Blink Dagger or working towards a pipe either way.
It's one of those funny things. DK always prioritized getting farmed in their supports. We saw it last game as well. Even with the slow start, where they were getting out-leveled by the TongFu supports, come mid-game, DK look to get kills where they can, take towers where they can, but it's always giving stuff to their supports. And whereas the TongFu team, when their supports start roaming around, they just never really use their time in between ganks and farming to get any towers, to get anything to give them that sort of more mid to late game items. We are going to see TongFu try sneak a Roshan here. The Observer on the other side of the river doesn't spot them walk in though, so this is going to be a nice little pickup for TongFu.
Well, are they going to get it? They do finally get it. Hal picks up the Aegis. That's a big pickup bottom lane. Yeah, that was real sneaky, and I almost felt like DK knew about it. They got a tier 2 mid and a tier 2 top for that. And it was a long time with quite a few heroes. Sure, they didn't see them walk into the pit, but that's a long time for that many heroes to be missing off the map. So they kind of pull a fast one on DK, but at the same time, DK still getting tons of items, tons of farm, and now they're going to go onto the Anti-Mage, 4-staffing forward, and the Split Earth, the Ravage. Aegis expended immediately. Thought maybe they just waited out since it only has 6 minutes, but hey, that's another way to deal with it. Get rid of it now, and then you'll have your Ravage back in a couple minutes' time.
Yeah, use it, get out, wait a couple minutes, and it doesn't look like DK are content. It looks like they are content to just avoid team fights for the time being with the Shadow Fiend as well as the DK, those two late game powerhouses. It's like, okay, let's just back off, get our next item. Shadow Fiend should have a Manta style soon. There's an ultimate orb on the courier. I believe that is his. He does still need the Manta recipe, which is actually a bit more expensive now, so may have thrown him for a loop. And here comes TongFu, smoked up, looking for super. Is he going to go for another BKB this time? He pops it.
Oh,
just sort of defensively.
Smart.
longdd really waited. I think he was expecting a stun to come in. As
right.
I don't know if you spotted, but a kill at bottom lane on the Darks here.
Yeah, no, was watching the action top, but did sort of catch the tail end after he died. You're right, really smart by longdd not to Burrow Strike, because he knew that the BKB was just waiting to be popped. QQQ, the one they initiate on, no Ravage, they used it for the Aegis, and a great time to be aggressive. TongFu seizing the opportunity, seizing that moment. Rubik has the blink, starts off with telekinesis on the Moot, forcing out the BKB, blinking very smartly, not just back in the lane, but in fact across the ravine, across that little cliff to ensure his escape. So they get the kill on the Tide. not the biggest hero to kill, but they'll definitely take anything they can get since they just lost the Aegis. Gotta use that opportunity while the Ravage is down to be aggressive. Saint Shane, though, might get thrown up somewhere, not close enough to the cliff to bring him back, and I guess that's going to be the end of the action, except for longdd, who's running from burning. Where's that gem? Here's the gem. Here's rotk, and that's a mega kill, and it's a well-earned mega kill. 5-1 and 6, 13 kills this game, and he's been on 11 of them. Very reminiscent of Chuan's performance for LGD, or for IG against LGD. There were more kills that game, but a similar percentage of involvement for this one.
This is the best I've seen rotk play in a long, long time. Not to say he's played poorly in the past, but he's really stepped up his game here, and it's a very different style of role to his normal side lane where he's a Darkseer or a Bounty Hunter. This game he was in that jungle, he's been more roaming around. He's almoys played as sort of a support hero, that 4 position with this Rubik. He doesn't feel like he's a 3 position hero. He just seems like a 4. He's backing up his teammates. He's the one with the gem. He's the one being a pest, stealing Blink, being the initiator. And he's really helping out his team. He's going to find Antimage at bottom with that initiation. Have they got the chain stuns? Leshrac, Split Earth not there in time. And Antimage gets out. Antimage up to 4k gold. TongFu still, they're well in this game with Antimage with this amount of farm. With the Queen of Pain, BKB, and Sheepstick coming. Oh, buys BKB. Okay.
At the same time, Bernie does have a heart and 900 golds. They're not out of the woods quite yet. He's getting insanely big. Despite not going for really a farming-oriented build, he didn't rush a Midas. He didn't go even for a Maelstrom to just clear the creep waves quicker. He went for more of this tanky, just frontline presence. And it allows the Shadow Fiend to be the backline damage dealer. longdd getting caught out by that Angry Dragon. Will this be enough to bring longdd down? He's so low. Maybe should have saved the Flame Breath. Don't know if that last auto attack would have hit in time. He kills him with the splash onto the creep. A beautiful reaction by Burning. Incredible, almost Ferrari-esque play from him with a different hero, sure, but very impressive from him as well. And now it's rotk
still hunting.
Incredibly aggressive posture, but he's got backup on the way. Blinking on forward into 4 heroes. BKB for Anti-Mage. That's what House Spend is going on. BKB City as Shadow Fiend pops one. And then
they find nothing though.
And TP's
all the
out.
BKBs and they get nothing. This is not what TongFu were hoping for. Even Rubik, I thought Antimage was going to get that Rubik. He forced out, but Antimage was still on top of him with the BKB, and it's not quite what TongFu were hoping for. Using 2 BKBs and having lost the Sand King there, and longdd buys back as well. So really, really bad trade there for TongFu.
That was a sick play by Burning. I mean, not as technically difficult to execute, but still nice presence of mind there to attack the creep and get the splash kill. that was like putting money in a putting money in a vending machine to get 1 soda and then 2 roll out or something like this. It's a little extra treat for him in addition to that creep.
Oh yeah, and speaking of needing treats, this Anti-Mage, he's got BKB, but he needs more. He needs, I guess, Butterfly maybe at this point. I mean, with the BKB gives him some survivability. I feel if he goes Heart, he's just not going to have enough damage. Butterfly gives him the evasion as well as some DPS, some pushing potential. It combos well with the Manta style. So I want to say he wants to go for the Butterfly. Shadow Fiend's building a crit here. He's gone for the Broadsword, so this is going to be going for that critical strike with a Daedalus late game build, and there's a lot of damage coming, so he needs the evasion. I feel that's going to be his best source of survivability as well as damage.
Right, there's nothing to the BKB. There's nothing really to deal with it directly. It's just you have to be able to do enough damage and survive all the physical power of the Shadow Fiend and the Dragon Knight, which is not easy. It's even with the Butterfly, he might also need a heart before he can really fight. Moo gets caught, and this should be the death of him with the Split Earth to follow up. Easy kill claimed. And this is really where the Shadow Blade Dragon Knight starts to shine, is he can just Shadow Blade in, go up those cliffs, go up the high ground, and spot out heroes who are farmy where normally they just blink away, but if you get in close, you get next to them. It's why the Pinoy teams love this build. Not only is it good defensively, but it really does let you set up easy kills. And in the mid to late game, you get a kill like that, now you can farm the enemy jungle, now maybe you can push, get in some position for that next Roshan in a few minutes. It makes a big difference, and it's an item that, sure, it's not the best late game item, but Bernie has already made it more than worth. It's more than paid for itself already.
Yeah, it really has, and at this point, DK have the position advantage around the Roshan pit. Sure, it's not going to be out for 3-4 minutes, and they're looking at, are they going to get him? The chain stuns are there. The BKB not going to be popped in time. Probably, I mean, at that point, the right-click damage was what finished him off, and the longer blink cast time.
And now another kill.
It makes him pay.
Now Burning finding solo kills. DK, I mean, it felt like they were struggling to find their stride, but now it's really coming together for them. And TongFu showing, feeling a little bit lost perhaps, getting picked off here and there, not having the map control, not having the vision they would like. It's rotk time and again who's setting up these kills on Anti-Mage, blinking in, using the telekinesis to lock them in place, setting up that Leshrac stun. And that's it, they have the burst damage with Shadow Fiend to follow up to bring him down. Just with the telekinesis, to blink into the telekinesis, and then Split Earth for the chain stun, and Super does the dirty work. A really nice combo, and they're using it so effectively.
Yeah, it's been just a very, very well executed game from DK. With a slightly out of the ordinary draft, at least from their standards. I mean, mentioned before, with rotk playing a 4 position, it's almost as if they have 3 kind of, not really supports, but at least initiators and sort of 4 position heroes with Tide, Leshrac and Rubik. None of them really going into that side lane, and now with this strong mid-game team fight as a result of all these big AoE heroes, and all of them with a lot of farm. Leshrac, I mean, 4-staff and Ghost Scepter, Tidehunter, he's going to have a pipe coming up very, very soon, and Rubik, of course, has just been a complete menace, picks up a Mystic Staff. He's looking to build either Shivers or probably more likely the Sheepstick to make it even easier to kill and gank this Anti-Mage.
That's just overkill if that's the case. And there you go, the Shadow Blade to start off yet another fight. Burning locks down Hal. Hal will fall, and now straight onto the high ground for DK.
He's picked up a Talisman Evasion. No buyback for Hal. He decided he needs the evasion to just survive that kind of a gank. It wasn't enough, and now Wall of Repka going to be the only thing maybe going to protect them from going down here. Queen of Pain Moo, it's all up to him to do the damage. He drops the ultimate. He's only taken out 1 though. Leshrac goes down. Super just doing super damage with this crit, and rotk once again blinking out at the last second. He's TPing home, saves his gem, and Burning. Can he get one more right click? He's going to have to deal with the blinding light. He may miss. He doesn't miss. Moo trying to blink on out does do so, and this is almost a full team wipe for DK. Buybacks are there for longdd, but I think this is Rax LD. I think this is DK going to get into a very, very good position to 2-0 TongFu.
It might be 2 lanes of Rex. 30 seconds to go on that Anti-Mage. Like you said, doesn't have buyback. And there's no wall. That's really their saving grace in these team fights, is having the wall available, getting a gigantic Frost Dragon of your own. I just loved in that fight how everyone on DK dropped down incredibly low, but Burning is sitting there with 3,300 health, not even a scratch on him. He's driving a tank, and he's racing along with these F1 cars, these squishy little soapbox derby cars on his team, and he's like, hey guys, what's the problem? I'm not having one. They get the wreck, so DK in a commanding position, and not only do they have the momentum, but they've completely, it's not just the TongFu are dying, it's not just that they're in this position, but they just haven't had any kind of momentum. It's been at least 10-20 minutes before they found more than a single kill. Hell, before maybe they found a kill at all.
It's been a long, long time, and they had a couple team fight where it's worked for them, with the Darkseer, Queen of Pain comboing together. They've got the big team fight AoE, but once you give DK this much farm, this much items, it comes down to the Anti-Mage, who's just been getting picked off time and time again. I just feel Hal has not been on the top of his game with his positioning, with his map awareness, and DK have really punished him whenever possible. I'd say more than anything, DK have just been really smart with how they gank him and how they just get complete and utter map control. This gem for Rubik has just been essential, and now they get Roshan, now they get Aegis onto Super. He's going to have that Daedalus as well, and this next push could be the final blow. And
a casual assault cuirass for Burning, so now sitting at 39 armor.
You do.
And having plenty of attack speed, having the double damage rune. This answers the timeless question. How do you gank Hal? You do it with Burning. You do it with rotk. You do it with these just instant stuns and reliable disables where you just jump in from nowhere, either through the Shadow Blade or the Blink. I just had to say, how do you gank Hal? That one will never get old for me. I mean, really never. I'll be saying it when I'm 80.
I'll be still playing Dota when I'm 80 as well. They're going to make a go of this, though. Epicenter blink in does next to nothing, though. The Ravage does not do nothing, and it's Anti-Mage on the front lines with a BKB, trying to take out Super. But newsflash, Super has an Aegis. He does not give a shit. Leshrac does, though. Leshrac getting down to 20 HP, but he's still alive somehow. MMY will not go down. He will not quit, and DK have taken the fight very convincingly. Taken game number 2, I want to say.
saddest keeper of the light I've ever seen, and that somehow finds himself surrounded by a disgustingly angry dragon, an angry fish, a crazy ethereal horse. I mean, just this swarm of DK heroes looking to kill him off, and he'll pay for that. He'll die. DK are going to take this 2-0. A lot more confident, a lot more convincing in game 2. Again, this is a team that's still trying to gel. They're getting used to their new roster. They're getting used to the new patch. They're not a team like IG, or to a lesser extent LGD, where they've been playing as a group forever. So I only expect them to get stronger from here. I only expect them to look more and more impressive as we progress through the group stages. They're still very young, not as individual players, but as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say both teams have got new players to try just with DK. With the more experienced veterans in Die and 357. 357 just can fit. I feel he can just go play with any team in that support role and just do it to perfection. If anything, for me, he was the standout for eHome at TI2, and Die as well didn't really make too many mistakes. The support play from eHome at TI2 was what stood out, and bringing in those two support plays for DK can only make them stronger, and that's what we're seeing here. The big thing for them is to just get their drafting right, get their strategy sorted out, and that's what they really did here against TongFu.
Since you bring to mind the idea that Dai can play for any team, maybe I'll have a go at recruiting him for mine. for my amateur garbage level team. Guys, on a serious note, that wraps it up for today's all Chinese broadcast for the G1 League. DK takes this series 2-0. So 2-0 victories. The first series, the VODs are already available on YouTube. YouTube.com/godzstudios, YouTube.com/ldDOTA. You can find both of the games, one on each of them there, and there's a playlist in my YouTube channel. It should be right at the top when you go into the channel, and you can just watch all the G1 League games for the group stages there. That will be updated with the VODs for this particular series, DK versus TongFu, in the next hour or two, so check that out. Make sure to catch up on any of the games you've missed, but we will be coming back to you guys tomorrow with some more games. For now, that wraps it up for today. I'm LD, he's Godz, we're David, and we'll be back. Should be back tomorrow with some more great games for you. Stay tuned. We'll update you on exactly what the schedule is going to be. It'll be at the same time, though. 15:30 SGT is when everything kicks off. So about 17 hours or so from now, I think. Just doing some mental math and hopefully getting it right. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. We'll see you